everyone doing? Very excited to be 1-0. Thought we had a great win over Stephen F. Austin. Did a lot of very good things on offense, defense, and special teams. But certainly plenty to clean up moving forward. You know, recapping the game, set a school single game record for tackles for loss, 17. Had 12 plays of 20 yards or more, which was the second most in FBS in week 1. And 618 yards of total offense, which I'm told was the 5th highest total in Mississippi State single game history. Our players of the week on offense, as selected by the coaching staff, were Keaton Thompson on offense, tied an SEC single game record with 7 touchdowns. Co-defensive players, Jeffrey Simmons and Montez Sweat, combined for 7 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, and 10 overall tackles. On special teams, Dontavian Lee, who had 3 tackles. And on scout team, the offensive scout team player of the week was TJ McMahon. The defensive scout team player of the week was Adricus Connor. And the special team scout team player of the week was Kason Grant. Our student athletes of the week, as selected by our academic staff, were Willie Gay and Chauncey Rivers. So, like I said, certainly excited to get a win in the left-hand column. I thought we did a lot of things, and certainly excited to move forward to Kansas State. Moving on to them, it'll be our first true non-conference road game against a Power 5 opponent since 2008, which was a loss to Georgia Tech, 35-7, and our last Power 5 non-conference win, unless I'm mistaken, was 1995, a 30-21 win over Baylor. Certainly having the opportunity to compete against a coaching legend like Coach Snyder will be an unbelievable opportunity. Bill Snyder Family Stadium, if the stadium's named after you, you know you've done a pretty good job, so certainly excited for that opportunity. Kansas State's been to 8 straight bowls and are the 3rd winningest team in the Big 12 since the start of the 2011 season, and started the year off with a 27-24 comeback win over South Dakota, a very good FCS team in the opener. They returned 14 starters, went 8-5 last year, and had a win over UCLA in the Cactus Bowl. Offensively, the coordinator is Andre Coleman, was a player for Kansas State in the mid-90s, played in the NFL for a bunch of years, Western PA guy, played his ball at Hickory High School, so he's got a very great pedigree and a lineage. Has been with Coach Snyder, so he understands the system. On offense, a fundamentally sound unit. They do what they do, quarterback power, quarterback counter, zone read. Play with 2 experienced dual threat quarterbacks and force you to play with great eye discipline and gap integrity. And are very, very impressed with their offensive line. They average 22 starts a player, very physical, disciplined, and they finish blocks. We feel their best players are the quarterbacks, Skylar Thompson and Alex Delton. Isaiah Zuber, a wide receiver, played every game for the past 2 years, starting 11. Try to create matchups with him. And then Dalton Risner, the right tackle, one of the top offensive linemen in the country, an All-American and All-Big 12 in 2017, started 38 games and the team captain. On defense, another first-year coordinator, Blake Saller, will be his first year there. They are a 4-down defense, play a mixture of coverages, play some quarters, play some quarter half, get in some man-to-man situations on 3rd down. We'll also blitz you a little bit, but very kind of a mirror image of their offense and a mirror image of their program overall. Tough, smart, disciplined, physical, run to the football, and they're not going to beat themselves. We think the guys that are impressive up front, number 99, Trey Dishon, is a guy that creates a lot of havoc from his defensive tackle position. At the second level, Daquan Patton, the same linebacker, is a guy. They had to replace all 3 linebackers. He's been very impressive. And then on the back end, Duke Shelley, one of the corners, and Denzel Goolsby are guys that have stood out to us in film preparation. Although the offense and defense are both very impressive units, they're awesome on special teams. Their coordinator, Sean Snyder, is his 8th year, and they're one of the top special team units in the country historically. Just looking at last week, they had a 95 punt return for a TD called back. They're averaging 19 yards a return on kickoff. Isaiah Zuber had an 85-yard punt return last week in the 4th quarter, averaging almost 50 yards a return. And Blake Lynch, as the kicker, was 4 for 4 last week in field goals, and they do an unbelievable job there. So once again, going to be an incredible challenge, one we're very excited to prepare for and to go out there and play. And take any questions.
Get a mic to you, Robbie, here.
Hey Joe, you mentioned with Nick Fitzgerald the incident that occurred back in the spring. He was voted team captain after that. How did you feel like he handled this past week, and especially during the game, being around the teammates and in a different kind of role than being on the field?
I think Nick handled it extremely well. He was sent down to scout team for the week, so he worked to give our defense a very good look. He was very mature during the weekend meetings and on the field, and on game day, I think he was a vocal presence on the sideline and a great resource for KT being out there in just his second start. And with Nick and the other guys in our program, I think that's part of it. That as a coach in a program, it's easy to mentor the guys when they're doing well and scoring touchdowns, and everybody makes mistakes, and I think that's part of the process that we got to do as good of a job when things go bad as when things do good, and I think Nick has learned from the experience. I think he's going to be better from it coming out, and it'll be very positive moving forward.
A couple of quick personnel things. What's Michael Story's status? Is he still indefinitely suspended?
Yes, sir.
And Jamal Couch didn't play against Stephen F. Austin. Was there a reason for that?
No, he's not. He's active.
Okay. And then to go to the schedule, you're practicing on Sundays, with Monday being the off day. What kind of went into that decision-making process, and how is a Sunday practice different since there was a rest day in between the game and that day?
Yeah, that's I'm not quite sure what kind of is the standard across the country, but that's something that every program I've been with is kind of modeled. That come in on Sunday, and you watch the tape. You do individual and team game corrections from the previous game, and then you do a little bit of an introduction, run game and pass game to the upcoming opponent, which we did, and then get into some special teams at the end. And then today's the player's off day, and gives the coaching staff an entire day to game plan and get the offense, defense, and special team stuff ready for when the kids come in on Tuesday.
From a health standpoint, did you guys come out of the game on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm gonna keep knocking on wood because it's working. But just some bumps and bruises, nothing major. We anticipate all the guys who played in the game, which were significant. A ton of people played, but we should be ready to go for Tuesday.
Coach, first game with the new staff, kind of new terminology. How did that process go? And were they real chatty on the headset like you didn't want?
Were they chatty? No, I thought I'm very happy that we decided to go through it on that Wednesday and kind of have a mock game situation with coming out of the tunnel and all the things that go into the logistics of the game. So offensively it went very smoothly. Between series, gathering information, communicating information, and getting it to the kids and making the corrections, and then clicking over on the defense side of the ball. There were a couple substitution things, but outside of that, I thought we did a very good job. So it went relatively smooth.
One more follow-up on the Sunday practice thing.
Yeah.
Do you think having one practice on Sunday dedicated entirely to the previous game and then going into the game plan kind of helps them compartmentalize and be more effective in both aspects?
Yeah, I've not been involved in a situation where Sunday is the players' days off and then Monday is the first full practice, so I really can't speak on that. But what I like about it is you meet, you watch the film, you come out, you make the corrections, and then halfway through practice you put closure to that game, and then you move on ahead. So from what you said about the compartmentalizing and making the corrections, fixing what need to be addressed, and then moving forward, I think that's a good observation.
Coach, some questions on social media about the sideline dunk contest after a score. Can you explain what that means and who won the contest?
I don't know who won. I think I might have had the most assists. I don't think I scored any of the buckets, but that was I want our kids to be excited. I want them to have fun, and that's just, we did it at Penn State with Saquon and some of the other guys and carried it over here. And I told our guys we want to, make sure that we're, number one, celebrating as a team, when we score touchdowns. So when there were 9 of them, so when we score a touchdown and toss the ball to the referee, find your teammates and the guys who helped you to get there and celebrate with them. And then when they come over to the sideline, have a little fun with it. So I don't know. Someone had a 360 reverse, so I think they may have won it.
Any apprehension about taking this team on the road for the first time, or is that where the experience you're going to rely on that?
No, I think there's anytime you go on a road, there's there's going to be obstacles and things you have to kind of overcome. Not being on campus, not being in your hotel, not being through that routine. But I think we've got a good plan put together for our meetings here on Friday when we're getting to the hotel. The meetings at the hotel when we're getting the kids to bed with it being an early kickoff. So to me, the challenge of it is as much the logistics as the timing and having a 6:30 a.m. wake up on Saturday morning, having breakfast, and as opposed to waiting an entire day and having walkthroughs and more meetings, you're touching your toes and going, and the game's starting. So I think that the game kickoff time, in addition to the travel, will be the biggest thing that we have to address.
Kylan came out and started the game the other night, but looked like a pretty steady rotation for your running backs, especially the first three. Do you anticipate that continuing, or is that just one of the things you're kind of trying out right now with those three?
I think we had 4 guys get carries. I think 3 of them scored touchdowns, maybe. Is that right? Yeah. So it's a luxury to have that many guys who are capable players at this level, particularly when you get into the SEC schedule, where on a weekly basis it's going to be incredibly physical. But we have a rotation set with Kyle and Aries going into the game, and we can really ride the guy who has a hot hand, for lack of a better term. So you go into it with a planned rotation, and based on how the game's going and who's playing well, the rotation could ever flow one way or the other.
Kind of going off of that, Coach, Kylan, aside from Keaton, Kylan had the most carries with 9.
Yeah.
Was that just sort of a game flow thing, or do you anticipate somebody getting upward of maybe 20 carries?
Yeah. I mean, it really kind of, I think, was based on like you said, the flow of the game. There were a couple scoring drives of 3 or 4 plays or less. I think we have a 13-play, 91-yarder somewhere in there. So, I think part of it was based on a few quick strike scoring drives. But I think throughout the course of a game, if you're talking, with our offense, running between hopefully 72 to 80 plays a game, you'd like it to be split 50-50 run and pass, and then the dispersal of those carries will be based on the rotation, or like we mentioned before, who has a hot hand. But to kind of get to the point of what you're asking, I believe we're normally going to have more carries per game for that than the running backs, but KT also had, I think, 10 as well.
You touched on this for a moment or two after the game the other night, but having a couple more days to reflect now, does anything stand out? What will you remember the most about your first game at Davis Wade?
I think the dog walk. I think that was awesome experience. Getting off the bus and having all the fans there, and the incredible support that they show for our team. Heading all the way into the tunnel. Running out of the tunnel for the first time to the cowbells, and I wear a double headset, so it gets drowned out a little bit on third down. But just the whole experience of being an SEC head coach for the first time, and then winning your first home game, and just the fan support here in Starkville for our team is phenomenal. And I think that'll be, aside from the win, will be the thing that stands out the most.
Saw Darryl take some snaps at center late in the game, and then
Yeah.
Tyree worked in some. Was that a product of the game situation being what it was, or is that something that's going to be continued into SEC games?
I think it was a little bit of both. We did talk during the week that, in a lot of positions, the guy that appears on the 2 deep may not be the next guy to go in, but the next best available person for that position. So we wanted to talk about getting him some snaps at center and bumping some of the other guys around. So 1, we were going to do it regardless, but 2, had a little bit more luxury in the second half to rotate some of those guys through, because it's a critical position on the line.
Kansas State was the second worst pass defense in the country last year. And they gave up 257 yards, I think, on Saturday night to an FCS school. When you look at them on film, do you see opportunities to attack them in the passing game?
Yeah, we're and also they were, I'm showing here, 3rd in the conference and 13th in the country in run defense last year. 6th in the conference in total defense. Only gave up 25 points a game last year. So I think there's areas statistically, and part of it, the pass defense may be because people can't run the ball on them successfully, so they're forced to pass the ball. So that may be where some of that statistical skew occurs. But we're going to go into a game plan, kind of doing what we do, looking to establish a run and forcing people to bring numbers to the box by support and pressure, and try to create some one-on-one matchups on the perimeter. So I don't think necessarily because that statistic belies a low ranking, that we're going to go into the game with more of a passing thought process.
Coach Cyrus Mitchell with a couple big catches for you this weekend. I know that conference has been an issue with him. What have you seen from him this fall camp that elevated him to a starting position?
What had been an issue? I didn't.
Confidence.
Oh, confidence had been. He's kind of a quiet, unassuming kid. I was glad that he was able to participate in the post-touchdown dunk contest to get him a little more fired up. I'd like him to show a little more energy, a little more enthusiasm, body language, but that's kind of how he is by nature. So for him to have 2 for 2 and get his college career rolling that way and build off of that experience and have success, I think that's going to really help him move forward, because he's very, very talented.
All right. Thank
All right.
you.
Hail State. Thank you, guys. Have a great day.